From the islands and swamps to the mountains and valleys, fishing, hiking, and everything in between, Inspiring Wilderness Adventures is a channel dedicated to inspiring wilderness adventures. I mentioned in the previous video that the beautifully scenic Lake Jocassee, tucked away in South Carolina's mountains, was one of the places that I was most excited to check out and take my Ginu to. But way before I even knew about Lake Jocassee, basically since I started fishing, I had always been enthralled at the idea of checking out South Carolina's fabled low country. The low country seemed like it had to be a Ginu heaven due to its narrow winding creeks and areas less than a foot deep. And it was. That is it right here! Since I was a little kid, few subjects interested me as much as American history, which in many ways has its roots in the region. From just slightly north of Jacksonville, Florida, onwards to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, the country's eastern seaboard eases into a labyrinth of gentle islands with tidal creeks that sprout into them like capillaries. It took me a while to describe the area with words, and that is why you have to see it yourself to truly understand. But put simply, the tidal flats, each adorned with larger oyster bars than we have anywhere in Florida, are a redfish's sanctuary. If you've seen my other videos, or even my license plate, you know reds are my favorite fish. Boiling like a red. Like a big one.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, the tank. No, you're good. Fight him. Come on, Bernie. What a fight. What a fish. Oh, man, that's a big fish. All this to yourself. It's atypical to show so much human development on an inspiring wilderness video, but it's truly remarkable how an area subject to hundreds of years of settlement and infrastructure still retain its seemingly untouched coastline, both flora and, to a satisfactory extent, fauna. The same cannot be said for much of the rest of the Southeast, sadly. Could it be? Oh, would you look at that? George Washington, the man, the myth, the legend. Cobblestone streets, colonial architecture, 350 years of history and more. It's the Yorktown in flesh. Now circling back to US history, until this trip I was previously unaware that the USS Yorktown was even still afloat, much less right there in Charleston Harbor. To call the Yorktown legendary would not suffice. It is one of the most decorated ships in US history and has an argument for being the most battle-tested. After acclimating to the winter in the upstate, Charleston's afternoon April heat was scorching, so we sought out a spontaneous indoor activity, and so glad that we chose this one. We started off on the destroyer USS Laffey, which has its own unique history and is in the adjacent dock to the Yorktown. On the side of her control tower, the Yorktown has marked each of her victories: planes, ships, and ground targets. It truly is remarkable. The Laffey earned its nickname, the ship that would never die, for her legendary exploits during both D-Day and the Battle of Okinawa, where she refused to flounder after 4 bombs and 6 kamikaze attacks. That's 6 Zero fighter planes crashed into her, and still, here the Laffey floats in Charleston Harbor. Up close, the Yorktown seems as big as a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, so to visualize her out in the middle of the Pacific, which is notorious for consistent perilous seas, still providing a floating runway for hundreds of planes 80 plus years ago, seems unfathomable. Yet it is also mind-blowingly real. I also had never been so close to World War II aircraft. I always pictured them being much smaller, when in reality up close, each of their engines were the size of studio apartments.
This don't scare me.
Walking through the decks and gangways, all made of the toughest riveted steel you can imagine, was a newly unique and surreal experience. You can't help but visualize what it would have been like to have been one of the brave men assigned to live, and let alone fight, on such a vessel. We walked all through the inner decks and even sat in the lower bridge. I never thought I'd be presented with the opportunity to walk on such a tangible piece of World War II history, one that I had previously read and seen so much about. Highly recommend stopping at the Yorktown and Laffey if you are in Charleston.
There's Fort Sumter right there. We were over there yesterday. Oh no, over there. There's a lighthouse. Fort Sumter's little baby brother, Fort Moultrie. That's not what it's actually called. Well, it's called Fort. Magnolia Gardens, beautiful. Very well taken care of. Not a bad place to be on a Monday morning. I guess they keep the alligators out of here. There's no swamp without Mr. Alligator. That child sounds like a peacock. Or that peacock sounds like a child.
We also took a few hours to quickly visit the famous Magnolia Plantation. The groundskeeping is immaculate, but the dark history of plantations was always looming, always a disturbing reminder of the immense disparity and exploitation inherent in societies of the time. Charleston receives nothing but high praise in my book. It has it all. The food is spectacular, and you'll be hard-pressed to find better seafood. If you had to pick one, I would say go to 167 Raw Oyster Bar, which is one of the best seafood restaurants I've ever eaten at. If you care about history, which you should, Charleston would take years to fully explore. Every chapter is full of sub-chapters and captivating tales that sometimes seem more fiction than fact. Yet no matter how incredulous, the history is very real, and relatively wasn't that long ago. The almost 400 years of history are still very much alive in the Charleston streets.
I'm a big fan of alleys, and Charleston has a plethora